Kunos has just released the Assetto Corsa EVO announcement trailer, so let's do an unneeded analysis video because there are quite a few things that are interesting in there. The link for the trailer will be below, and you should definitely check this out as well. And the trailer goes on Passione kind of route where they show evolution. And one of the few things that is noticeable besides, you know, doing a Lego maybe confirmed in the game into the real one is definitely the graphics. The graphics have changed quite a lot, even from Assetto Corsa Competizione. In terms of the light that we receive, it's more in the tune of, in my opinion, Gran Turismo, other than just, you know, Assetto Corsa, even with mods, even with Pure, and even with all of that, you know, with these blown highlights that we see over here in the left, and also a good level of contrast, controlled contrast. So in terms of graphics, I think, as you can see with the reflections and all of that, even with the trees, and I always talk about the trees look great. The graphics, the details, it looks great. It says it's in-game footage, but of course, it can change. It can change on your graphics level, I suppose, or maybe it could be a case, in reality, it never is with Kunos, at least until now, that the graphics can change with hardware or from the trailer into what you receive on your PC, or if it releases on console. Next we have over here Ford Performance. Ford isn't shown in the rest of the trailer as far as I can see. At least I have missed it. And they also show some BMW M4 CSL. This is Nürburgring or Nordschleife. In this case, this is the Devil's Diner. And this is at the central part of the tourist Farten, just before the entry gates or the entry bollards, just after the gates getting into the complex. So we're going to have Nordschleife at least at the beginning. Not sure if it's going to be like an extra DLC, but it's going to be there because it's already modeled. We also have, this is real life, of course, this is a kid, and this, I believe, is Alfa Romeo Giulia, a GTA, and then moving into an AMG. Now, this part is definitely 3D, but there's something interesting here. If we check this out, if we can put it a little bit more to the back. This is a 3D model of a regular hand, so it might be just a little bit of a thing that nobody will notice, but it kind of seems, and we'll see later on the trailer as well, that you're going to have a racing driver model and also a regular driver, road driver model without the gloves, without everything, without the helmet. So that will be interesting to see. We can also look at the details of the models themselves. This one, I believe, is directly from ACC, probably just a little bit upgraded for the new game engine. And remember, this is not Unreal. This is not the old Assetto Corsa. This is a new engine they have made for the game. This is the Porsche 911 Cup they have, the Cup 2 we received. This is just a sim rig, of course. On this shot, we have quite a few interesting things, but these are miniature cars. And we'll go back at this because we have this panning, and then we go directly into the in-game footage. But if we go back just a little bit back into the miniatures being shown, we can assume that at least some of these cars will be present in the game. I wouldn't be showing this if these cars wouldn't be present at the game with this sort of transition. We have a few cars over here that have been in the game. So we have the Alfa Romeo 4C at the top right, then the GTA M Giulia, then the 155 DTM Q4, then this is an Alfa GTA, this is an Stradale 33, then the P330 from Ferrari, this one is a Daytona 240, this one is a Ferrari from Michael Schumacher, the F2004, that was in the game, you know, this one was in the game, this one was in the game, these three as well, I don't remember the Daytona 240, this one was in the game as well. This one, I believe, is a 642 that Alan Prost used to drive back in the days, I'm not too sure, and I think this one is the one that was present with Niki Lauda. However, this one is the Tyrrell T006 or something like that. It's a six-wheeler car. And then we have a couple of Lotus, this one, and the rest I'm not too sure because I'm not into vintage Formula One. But what I'm trying to say here is that there is some sort of transition coming about here that goes from the miniatures into the cars. So I would at least expect that some of these cars that we see here, either the classics or the more modern ones, will be part of the game, because some of them have already been part of the game in the previous Assetto Corsa.
Driven by heart.
Then we have the transition back into the track, and then we see new models. There's quite a few interesting things. We have this McLaren 765, and then we jump into a Mini, and the Mini has really nice suspension physics, because Minis, if you see them in good wood, they move all about, but they have so much grip for something that doesn't have any tires at all, and they move exactly in the way you expect them to be. So in terms of physics of dampening and tire grip and tire flex, it kind of seems to be well made. Once again, we see the Alpha GTAM or Alpha GTA that you used to have in Assetto Corsa as well. One of my favorite cars. This car is so absolutely underrated. If you have the game, go drive this. It's a load of fun, and I'm glad that it's part of the game as well. And then we see the Alpha GTA. I'm doing what I used to do it back in the day, and then once again, then the Porsche RSR. I believe this might be either, yeah, this is Brands Hatch. So we also have the confirmation of Brands Hatch going about. Now I'm not sure if you see just this guy moving about, we could probably have some sort of new type of bystanders, new stewards that move around a little more like Gran Turismo 7. It does say over here that it is in-game footage, so I suppose it's going to be an option that you can have either moved or maybe static ones for the stewards, and maybe some of the people around for the viewers as well, because they move as well. Brands Hatch. Then we have weather. We have rain, and if you see over here, if you overanalyze this the hell out of it like I am doing right now, we see some puddles. The puddles are, good thing to have. Now, how that is going to relate into your driving, we've yet to be seen. You see that? We have night and day cycle, and we have rain confirmed. So an improvement from Assetto Corsa, but somewhat expected, because we had this in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I believe this is Suzuka as well, because we see the Ferris wheel at the distance, and this seems to be somewhat the section before the end part where the Ferris wheel tends to be. Very nice. I really like the graphics. That there is a few other details that I would like to show you or to talk about. At the distance, you can see all the lights here. So there's this like light diffusion going in the air because of the atmosphere diffuses the light with the water. And also, in terms of contrast, the way that the light bleeds into the background and then fades away, also very well controlled. So this engine is working in a very realistic way in terms of how the light operates. And now, if we move over here, just before we go back into Imola, we can see the water, the water flowing. Could be just a physical shader or just a visual shader to show you some movement. It could be something else. That is fine as well. Look at, once again, at the hands of the driver. We have a road driver driving against a Lotus Emira, an Alpine A110 against an Emira at Imola. Not sure if this is going to mean that you're going to have some sort of BOP happening in the game, because remember, in Assetto Corsa, the original one, you could have a couple of cars that would be very close in performance in real life, but in the game, they didn't have a way to really race them together, because the BOP would be totally different. Even on the same class, stuff like the DTMs, you had the BMWs and Mercedes, and then you had the Alpha, and if you took the Alpha, you would always win. Rain during the day, look at the lights. The lights are really well composed, very close to what Gran Turismo 7 tends to do, but this one feels a little more vibrant, a bit more lifelike. Gran Turismo 7 sometimes feels a little bit too synthetic, because it wants to portray what a Sony camera mainly, is trying to do. And it works really well, but sometimes you want a little more saturation up, and Assetto Corsa Competizione, at least in this trailer, seems to do it very well. So this is Imola as they move around. We can see the light drops working really nicely as well. The way that the lights go, it kind of feels like the same shader as the ACC, but it could be changing, because remember, this is just a presentation and announcement trailer. It doesn't really show you that much. And then as you go, we go into, I believe this is a Ferrari Daytona, an SP4, SP9 or something like that. And also, look where we are. We are in the middle of a street. I'm not sure what street this is. We probably need to ask that GeoGuessr guy. But what this shows you is that this game either is going to have some sort of map that is a, you know, a city, or this is going to be a some sort of a photoscape like you have in Gran Turismo 7, and I think Forza as well, and probably other games as well. You know, something a little more into the photo part. Either that, or this is actually a track that you can go on the side and take some pictures. And it looks really nice. Look at the lights at the end. Very nice bokeh. So you have a good transition from the front into the back. It diffuses the lights very well. The night is really well done in this specific engine. The reflections are very nice. The type of details on the paint. You know, this is me nerding out, but it looks really nice. It looked very well, or it looks better in the pictures, but in moving, going over the internet and moving pictures in video, it works also really well in how the reflections work. So another type of paint over here as well. Look at the interiors. The interiors, I'm not going to say there are Gran Turismo 7 levels. I always keep talking about Gran Turismo 7 because Gran Turismo 7 is incredibly detailed with all the most minute things. And this is at the same level or close to that, which is really good for something that is supposed to be a driving sim or a sim mainly. And then it has the artistic part separate, but you know, Gran Turismo tends to be very anal with everything. This one is, you wouldn't expect that from Kunos at that level, but here we are. We have all the details, all the reflections, all the shaders, all the, you know, the small little details on the carbon fiber with that resin they put on top to make it a little bit glossy. You know, everything feels fine. It looks great. Even the Alcantara over here or the letter over here, it looks really, really nice. Very well detailed. So it's amazing. And now, once again, the car moving, the moving details also feel nice. It kind of feels that is moving in a correct way. We'll still have to see, because one thing it will be, might say in-game engine, but they could be, you know, smoke and mirrors behind. We have here a Morgan three-wheeler, and this is going to be another part. It's going to be interesting. Morgan three-wheeler. We have a driving road. I'm not sure if this is the road we used to have, the hill climb we used to have in Assetto Corsa from the start, or if it's something else, or if it's a mod, or if it's an, you know, something else altogether. But we have something here that will tell you this is also a driving sim, right? And then we have this. We have a car moving on the other direction, which I believe is the M4 CSL or something similar. Now, this could mean that we're going to have AI that does this sort of driving in roads, like used to have in track day mode, or this is multiplayer, or some sort of new iteration of what we had before in terms of traffic, but made for these types point-to-point traffic as well. So let's not speculate over too much, because we had some sort of traffic before, but now, you know, with this, it kind of gives you the idea that it's going to have a little more AI that will be feeling more natural with these types of tracks. As we move, we have some of the electrical cars or electric cars we had before from Hyundai. We also have the i30, and once again, we can see, you know, the driver model. This is a more casual driver model with sneakers and all of that. It should be sparkles or something, maybe not. That's the Hyundai N5 or 5N or whatever it is. It's really the big one that looks smaller than it is. Generally, the cars nowadays are the other way around. And I really like the color. They haven't shown the i30N, sadly. But you can see that there's some movement. And then we have this old GTI and new GTI. You know, Evo, it's an evolution there. And it's good that we see another brand posting hot hatches other than Alfa Romeo that we had in the past, or other than just the Hyundai we've seen in the screens. And then we have the Beast, the AMG GT2 that will be here. So we're going to have the GT2 class. And there's also essentially the idea that there might be something else coming about. Now, it's going to be releasing on January 6, 2025 for the early access. I've seen this trailer like 5 or 6 times already, and every time I look at it, there is something new, a new detail. I'm really liking the graphics that they're presenting. I know a lot of people will be saying, "Meh, I'm gonna, you know, not go here. I'm just gonna drive my Assetto Corsa or my Assetto Corsa Competizione," which is totally fine. This new trailer doesn't really hype much up, at least for me. I feel I'm interested in it, but not too much hyped. It has a new graphical engine. I am not too sure about the car choices that's going to happen, but I know that the details that the cars and the tracks will have will be meant, because that's how Kunos rocks. And at this point, as we've seen, at least in my opinion, it is very close to what Gran Turismo 7 does. The last point about content will be definitely the GT cards, because we've seen the Porsche Cup and the GT2s. What is going to happen to the other part of content that we have in ACC? It's, well, still up in the air. This is still an announcement trailer. A lot of people will be saying, I want GT3s far away from this game, but if there is not going to be support towards Assetto Corsa Competizione, that game will be left to die, essentially, and you really want to migrate that type of content into Assetto Corsa EVO. Maybe they give it a little bit of support in rules that you used to have in SRO, to properly send it off for the future. Graphics are nice. The addition, at least, of one track that's going to be a free roam, or seems to be a free roam, or maybe it'll be a hill climb. It's also nice. The content that has been shown, it was more or less kind of expected, but I wasn't really expecting the Morgan nor the GT2, so that is quite interesting. Overall, as an announcement trailer, I think it does everything well. It didn't really hype me up. It kind of elevated my expectations, but it's still very subtle. We still need to see more and hear more from Kunos to understand what type of sim this is going to be more about, what can be done with them, what kind of rules we're going to have in races, and what we can do with the sim itself, and if it's what kind of modding we're going to have as well. So let me know in the comments what you think about this trailer, what you thought you saw about it, and if I missed something, let us know below. Have a great one.